Hello, 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 hello. And okay, we'll go forward. That felt a little extra, but I'm just gonna talk about therapy, going right in to that. I I have a thing on my mind that I think could go for hours, but I feel like that's a lot of the topics I bring up. So this topic today that I'm thinking about, which really just kind of popped into my mind, I was going to talk about family originally, and I feel like I've done that a couple times, the importance of relationships, and I'm sure I will again. But I thought this new topic will divvy up the material a little bit. So the topic that's kind of on my mind here is the importance in therapy of being able to make sound decisions clinically, specifically when I think of students, but also professionals when it comes to hours needed for licensure and graduation, as well as income needed. And how that looks mostly comes down to, can you make appropriate decisions when your income and livelihood is on the line? And this is a topic that I really, really like and would be better to make a whole breakdown video of in the future, which I've started saying a lot in videos, so I need to just start actually planning out more focused videos on this stuff. But think about this for a second. You are a salary or hourly worker. You show up to your job. Maybe it's a fast food restaurant. Maybe you work in tech and you're paid hourly or salaried. And you have work that you're supposed to do. You clock in, you clock out. And let's say you're even doing a job, you could say, well, the tech that I work on is it's medical tech, or it's tech that is meant to make automobiles safer, or stuff they're using now in the automated cars. Like, my whole goal is to keep people safer. Or you're the type of person that's working an hourly job in the service industry, and you're like, I have a huge passion for making people's lives better and easier. I love doing that, and you're finding this outlet to do that. And you're getting paid to just do that to the best that you can. Now, think about, you're at a job where you also just really want to help people as best as you can. And you own that business, and no one's paying you except the person that you're helping. And where this can start to become problematic for therapists is in two specific ways. One is if you're a solo private practice owner, meaning that you just run your own private practice and you don't have extra therapists. Let's just say you don't have interns and you don't have a front desk person, a receptionist, or an administrative assistant. You're doing all of that work. And what that then looks like is, if you turn someone away, you don't get paid. If they come into your office and follow through on the payment, you get paid. If they get better and don't need your services anymore, they leave and you don't get paid. If they're not getting better and they have to stay, you might still get paid. There is a temptation to incentivize people being unhealthy. And this is kind of scary in our field. I said two reasons, but the third is that last piece of, there is room for this job to incentivize poor performance on the part of therapists, or just good enough services. There was a clinic that opened in the US. It was an obesity clinic, and I apologize, I don't remember the location, the clinic name, or the doctor's name in this. I hope that I can give enough information for this to be looked up on your own if you'd like to. But this doctor was talking about all the funding that went to open this obesity clinic, and they projected how much money the clinic would have to make to break even, and then how much it would have to make to pay out. And the doctors need paid. They have to pay off a loan for the construction costs. And they built this with the anticipation of obesity getting worse. However, let's pretend that tomorrow it clicked and people stopped taking poor care of their body. We're going to put aside really understandable reasons for obesity here and focus more on just bad personal health choices that people are making. So, I just want to get ahead of that comment. There are times where people are struggling for different reasons. This is a small percentage of people, as I understand, that really can't lose weight. Most people, it's a lifestyle decision, and also mixing that with, and this is important for everyone, the food that we eat now is not good. So I would agree that it is harder in general because we have so much in our food in terms of pesticides and preservatives and all this crap that's in our food. So, but let's just say all of that disappeared. A lot of people's health conditions got better. People started making better personal decisions for their health, and obesity plummeted. Well, now you have all these centers and experts who are out of work or loans that can't be paid off, and it's a bad thing for them. Okay, where's the line between you want to help but also you need to make money? I think about this with my field, and I'm pretty adamant about this, that my job should be to do two things. One, put myself out of a job. So the idea is if someone comes in, my number one goal, or really, one of my top goals, should be get them out of my office as fast as possible, fully capable of handling their own mental health and being cleansed of whatever issue they were dealing with. So I'm not trying to get them in and like force them out, but the idea is how quickly can we get you to be self-sustaining? And some people it's a couple weeks, believe it or not. Some people, they get what they need really, really quickly. Other people, it does take years. And so if you ever hear of someone being in therapy for a very long time, we can't, or for a very little amount of time, we can't just immediately jump in and say, well, that's because your therapist was doing a good or bad job, or you're not taking it seriously, or you're using it as a crutch. There's so much that goes into that. But ultimately, my job is, can we get you to the point where I'm not needed as quick as possible? And there are some people who will use therapy just like some people use a personal trainer, where they're actually so well trained that they could probably help other people with their fitness, but they want that micro refinement all the time. That's okay. To me, as long as people are growing in the right direction and they're not hyper stagnant, I'm trying to work against that a lot. But I'm trying to work myself out of a job. I would love to see a world where therapists are 100% unnecessary. So work myself out of a job and equip people to not need to be in therapy. So one of the motivators of this YouTube channel, and I'm hoping it can grow more into that over time, because I know a lot of this is just me talking a lot, but I want to do more educational content. And not just educational from a lecture-based standpoint, but try this instead of therapy. You do this instead of therapy, which is why I've said in multiple videos, you should focus on your sleep, your nutrition, your physical activity / exercise, your relationships, and your spirituality before going to therapy. You should work on those, because for a lot of people, if you can get those in check, you don't need to come. That's real. If you can fix those things, you're going to be much more likely to be not needing therapy. Or if you get those things in line and you still need therapy, it's going to help therapy. Doing those 5 things is only helpful. There's an overdoing it level, but getting them in a more balanced state is only helpful. So, and then at the end of the day, I need to make a living. So where's that line? And a really, really good question that I will ask myself as a therapist, I'll ask other therapists that I'm consulting with for their businesses, and even students, because students need hours to graduate. And there's a temptation to be like, oh, I just need this client to come in, or I need to extend our session longer so I can get more hours. Temptation is there at every stage. At least it can be there at every stage. One of the things that I will say is, if you didn't need to make money, we'll assume we're talking about post-grad professionals. If you don't need to make money, and you didn't need to make money, would your recommendation for this client change? Would the way that you are engaging with them change? Another way that I ask this to people is, I'll say, if you had a long waiting list and people were begging to get into the door, are there certain clients that you would have told they can stop therapy now? Like, they're good to go. Like, if you knew that time slot would be filled right away and that the money would be coming in, are there certain clients that you would be recommending stopping therapy or backing off? And the goal here is that we're never making a decision based on money. For students, based on hours. And we're only making the decisions based on what is going to best serve our clients. Ironically, I think if you do this well, your business is going to actually be more successful, because that likely means you're going to do a good job with the work that you do, and the chances of them recommending you to other people they know are better versus you dragging them along and, someone's like, I need a therapist. And they're like, mine's fine. I would rather go to therapy, get out really quick, and then someone asks me like, hey, what was your therapy experience like? I'm like, I didn't go for that long at all. I only had to go for a couple months, or I went for 2 years, but we worked through all of this. It was great. They always kept my needs. Go to this person. I think that's good. Yeah, you can always, with a lot of what I say, you can nuance this and find some exceptions to these things, but for the most part, that's the set of questions that I pay attention to. Don't make decisions about a client or a patient's health based on your preference and convenience and your personal needs. And for me, this is to go back to the 5 points that I bring up. This is where the spirituality component comes in, because part of my spirituality is a belief that I will be okay if I do the right thing. Now, that doesn't mean nothing bad will never happen to me. It just means I don't think I need to cheat, to lie, to manipulate to be successful. Maybe that could help me in some way with money, but I think in general, if I'm honest, if I'm forthright with people, if I do my job to the best of my ability, I'll be okay. And I think when people do that, they actually end up being more than okay, typically. There's always exceptions, but typically people are more than okay. So I'll just make this a short video today and encourage anyone who is a therapist watching this to really consider that type of questioning. If you didn't need the money, or if you had a waiting list where people were clamoring to get in, you can guarantee a filled time slot all the time. Would this change how you are treating your patients and your clients? And I really want this to be focused on for people who own their own practice and really rely on that. This question's easier when you are salaried or an hourly employee as a therapist. It's easier to answer because other people are in charge of taking care of you in that sense. But when it completely relies on you, can you answer in a way that says, I'm already doing these things as if I don't need the hours or the money, or as if I have a guarantee of clients. I'm already deciding that I'm going to do the best for my clients and only recommend what they need and never keep people longer or get rid of them faster than what is their need for health. So just something to think about, something I try to think about all the time. My goal is always to have that be a completely clean, like, yes, it's only for my clients. And whenever it's not that way, I have to personally check that and figure out why. And it's almost always going to come down to fear. We're afraid of something. In this case, for most people, it's going to be, I'm afraid of not having enough. And then we get to face that, because as therapists, that's our job, to face that for ourselves and help other people face it. So just something to think about. If you're interested in any type of therapy consulting for business stuff like this video kind of talked about, or if you're interested in therapy services, reach out to me in the contact info below. I'm happy to get you connected with me or someone else. If you're in the state of Kansas or Missouri, we can work together. And for therapy, if you're in any state, I can work with you for consulting. So reach out if you're interested. I'd love to hear, if people are watching this and you are a therapist, your thoughts in the comments on how you navigate this in your own personal practice. Or if you're a student even, how you navigate it with hours. So thanks for joining, and I'll look forward to seeing you all next Monday. Bye.